Hi everybody, we're going to talk about multiple representations today. So that basically means we take some sort of relationship and we are able to write it in 4 different ways. We're graphing it, we're writing an equation, we have a table, and we're writing a verbal description. So we're converting between all of those. Each question will have one of these filled out and we're making the other 3. So when I look here, I have an equation. I need to make a verbal description, table, and a graph. From the equation, we should be able to graph it pretty easily. So we have my y-intercept, and we have my slope. So remember, we start at my y-intercept, I put a point right there on my y-axis, and then my slope is really 2 over 1. So I go up 2, and I go right 1. So I go 1, 2, over 1, 1, 2, over 1, 1, 2 over 1. Then I make a nice straight line. Dots are a little bit off just because my grid line didn't copy very well. There's your graph. We can label it with our equation. That's it. Okay, now I need to make the rest of it. So, table is pretty easy to make after you have the graph because we can just read our graph. Here's our first point. At 0 toppings, it cost $3. You can kind of start to read and figure out what's going on here too. So we have toppings and we have cost of a pizza. So obviously we have some sort of pizza here. So here's our number of toppings on the bottom. Here's the cost of a large pizza on the side. So if I have 0 toppings, I have a $3 pizza. So I can fill in the parts of my table. And then if I go to 1 topping, I have a $5 pizza. And so forth. If I go to 2 toppings, follow it up, I have a $7 pizza. And we can continue the pattern once you see it. So I have 3 and 4 to fill in still. This is going to be 9, this will be 11. So even though I don't have 4 on my table, I can still figure it out by doing the pattern. Now to write the verbal description, we have to describe what's going on in the situation. So in a verbal description, you need to talk about the y-intercept and you need to talk about the slope. You should also talk about what's going on in the context of the problem. We have Ava's Pizza Parlor right here. We know we're talking about the cost of a pizza and the number of toppings on the pizza. So I can start by saying what the y-intercept is. It is 3, meaning the cost of a pizza with no toppings is $3. That's me saying, okay, here's my cost, here's my number of toppings. I'm involving both numbers in my y-intercept. So that right there is the y-intercept. Now I'll talk about the slope. So the slope is how much was each topping. So it is, and each time I went up by 2's. So it has to be $2. That's coming from my slope as well. So it is $2 per topping. That word per is always going to be in our slope. So this is the slope right here. That word per is telling us how much of this for how many of these. That's where that comes from. Okay, 1 down. Let's try another one. Okay, here we have got a graph filled out for us. We need to do the table, the equation, and the verbal description. Okay, so we're talking about Danny's appliance repairs. We have cost over here, and we have hours over here. You also should notice that cost is not counting by 1s, it's going up by 20s. So that's something to pay attention to. So whether you do the table or the equation next, they're both pretty much the same process. I like to do the table next because it's kind of easy once you have the graph. So this starts at 20. So at 0 hours, it costs $20. Then at 1 hour, it is $60. At 2 hours, it is $100. At 3 hours, it is $140. I'm noticing that we're going up by 40s each time, so I'm just going to continue that pattern. Okay, table's done. Now I can make my equation. Whether I use the table to make the equation or the graph, it doesn't matter. You should get the same thing. So I have y equals, okay, now I need the slope and the y-intercept. So slope's going to go here. Y-intercept's going to go here. And I'm going to have the x right here. Okay? Y-intercept is where I start. I start at 20. So I do actually go 1. So that means I have 40 over 1 for my slope, which is the same thing as 40. Okay, now I need to describe what's going on in a verbal description. So I have Danny's appliance repairs. Danny fixes stuff apparently. This is how much he costs. This is how many hours he's working. So we can talk about the slope first or the y-intercept. I think it's easier to start with in 1 hour, $40. So Danny charges $40 per hour. Again, that's me taking the slope. This is the slope. Now is at 0 hours. So for 0 hours of work, Danny charges $20. That's what that's meaning. So that right there is the y-intercept. It seems a little silly to charge money when you haven't done any work yet, but that's all 3 of your verbal or of your representations that hadn't been done yet. I would like you to try 3, 4, 5, and 6. So try 3 through 6 right now, please. Go ahead and pause the video and do that. For number 3, use our table, graph, and equation. Here's number 4. Pause the video if you need a little bit more time. Table, graph, equation. Here's number 5. Verbal description, equation, graph. Equation, graph. If you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, have a great day.